Good morning, everybody. This presentation will analyze and critique Colorado Springs' pre-COVID tourism development plan, commonly referred to as City for Champions. I will discuss the goals, objectives, stakeholders, and planning approaches, as well as provide recommendations and two key takeaways for future destinations. All right. Colorado Springs is located at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. It attracts visitors seeking outdoor adventures, beautiful landscapes like Pikes Peak and Garden of the Gods, and sports related tourism through the Olympic and Paralympic Museum and training centers. These features provide the backdrop to the City for Champions plan. I will say that if I were to ever make it out to Colorado, I definitely wanna go skiing, so I'm definitely leaning into that outdoorsy aspect of it, um, and I definitely picked this destination for the pure fact that I think Colorado is so beautiful. I feel like anywhere out west in general is just gorgeous, and I would love to go do a tour of it at some point, so that definitely motivated me to pick Colorado Springs. Alright. Before the pandemic, Colorado Springs embraced the City for Champions initiative to elevate its status as a premier sports tourism destination. The plan encompassed large scale projects like the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum, intended to celebrate the city's strong Olympic heritage while also driving year round tourism demand. City for Champions was officially launched in 2013, and one of its primary goals was to develop a suite of sports, hospitality, and cultural venues to boost the city's tourism profile. Four of their major projects for this initiative was the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum, the Colorado Sports and Event Center, Sports Medicine and Performance Center, and the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs Sports and Health Science Center. The official documentation and promotional materials, including the YouTube video, highlight Colorado Springs' aim to become an international sports mecca. The plan sought to diversify local tourism beyond the traditional sightseeing, using major sports venues and medical research centers to draw visitors, athletes, and researchers, thereby stimulating economic growth. So, some of their stated goals and their main objectives were to enhance their brand identity, and they wanted to solidify their reputation as Olympic City in the USA. They wanted to increase overnight stays to attract new visitors and extend length of stays. They wanted to boost economic growth by creating jobs, increase tourism revenue, and foster downtown revitalization. And lastly, they wanted to leverage natural and cultural assets. They wanted to utilize the proximity to Pikes Peak and cultural landmarks. The broad approach was a public private partnership, which is typically beneficial for large capital intensive developments. It leverages Colorado Springs' status as home to the U.S. Olympic Committee and existing sports facilities. However, there is a legitimate concern that concentrating heavily on sports oriented tourism might overshadow the city's other cultural and natural offerings. I completely agree with this because I feel like if you lean too far into the sports tourism, it starts to take away from the natural beauty around Colorado, so I can see that for sure. Um, so overall, their approach was to create the public-private partnership with local government, private investors, and community stakeholders. This can be good because it harnesses local sports heritage and existing brand identity, and it engages multiple funding sources, reducing burden on the taxpayers. The issues with this is possible overemphasis on sports at the expense of cultural and historical sites, and questions about long term financial viability of large scale projects. Crucially, the plan involved collaboration among government entities, private corporations, and sports organizations. Public engagement was incorporated through local meetings and surveys, although some community members expressed concerns about potential traffic congestion and rising living costs near new development sites. So, some of the stakeholders involved were the City of Colorado Springs. They provided policy support and infrastructure funding. Private investors and developers financed, built, and operated major facilities. The U.S. Olympic Committee was for brand alignment and sports expertise. Local businesses and communities, they were the engagement through public forums and open houses. And then the state of Colorado granted the Regional Tourism Act funding for project incentives. All right. In Mason's 2020 framework, effective tourism planning starts with the thorough situational analysis and robust stakeholder engagement. We see that manifested here. However, the plan could be stronger in terms of analyzing environmental carrying capacity, especially as the city experiences population growth and increased foot traffic to parks like Garden of the Gods. So, some of these techniques are situational analysis, which is identified local sports heritage and synergy with the Olympic brand, stakeholder mapping, which is demonstrated in P3 structure and community engagement sessions, carrying capacity considerations, partially addressed but mostly focused on economic versus environmental capacity, and strategic marketing, emphasize branding as Olympic City USA for global recognition. While the plan clearly has strengths, especially in capitalizing on the city's established relationship with sports, the primary concern is reliance on a single tourism theme. Cultural and heritage tourism can diversify visitor experiences. Further, large capital projects can face future financial hurdles, especially if visitor numbers fail to meet the projections. So, some of the strengths that I saw were clear alignment with Colorado Springs' existing sports identity, major developments positioned to attract year-round sports events, and potential for job creation and downtown revitalization. Some of the weaknesses were it risked over dependence on sports tourism. It overlooks smaller cultural or historical organizations and much more, the area itself, and funding complexities and potential cost overruns. For other destinations, the lessons from Colorado Springs highlights the need to diversify tourism offerings rather than focusing on just one niche. Additionally, continuous stakeholder engagement is crucial to maintain community support and adapt the plan as circumstances change, be it economic downturns or future pandemics. So yeah, I would definitely diversify the tourism portfolio, maybe lean more into the landscape, rather than just the sports side of it. Um, I see why they leveraged the Olympic brand. It was completely logical, but incorporating broader cultural, historical, and natural tourism offerings mitigates over reliance on the sports. And then the ongoing stakeholder collaboration, regular forums, transparent decision making, and community input allow for adaptive management, ensuring the plan remains relevant and equitable. I think if this would have been put into more practice when it was planned, they would have avoided focusing on that one thing, because the more people you can get in a room and look something over, the more you start to realize the flaws that could be, lying within it. So I think if they would have had a broader community engagement scale, they would have realized that leaning too far into the Olympic thing could potentially be a downfall later on. All right, and to wrap it up, City for Champions taps into Colorado Springs sports heritage and sets ambitious goals for economic growth and city branding. Proper diversification and robust stakeholder collaboration are essential for long-term success, and future plans must balance sports tourism with environmental sustainability and inclusive community development. So, in conclusion, City for Champions is an impressive pre COVID tourism strategy emphasizing sports tourism as the driver of growth. However, to ensure resilience, the plan needs continual refinement, particularly in diversifying its tourism products and maintaining meaningful stakeholder participation. These references, along with the official promotional YouTube video, offer a glimpse into the rational scope and reception of the plan. And lastly, I have my references page. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the day. Thanks, guys.